You know, I recently came to a recent realization that, with the movie I just reviewed, Tag, and the other comedy films, this actually hasn't been that bad of a year for comedies, honestly. This is quite shocking. I don't really know what's happening. I mean, there's a lot of really great comedies out there, and I don't really see, why this is really happening. Why are all these mainstream comedy movies happening? Where did all the terrible movies go? Oh shit, that's right, Netflix is still around. Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be for an epic rant, once again, for another fucking Netflix movie. Look, Netflix, this seems to happen all the time. They will make a really bad movie, and then they'll have a series of really promising ones, and then they'll make a really bad movie, and have a series of really promising ones. Then they will make one of the worst things ever, and have a series of really promising ones. And that, my friends, is where we find ourselves once again, with this film, The Kissing Booth, which... holy shit. I mean, going into this movie, was I excited for it? Fuck no. Absolutely not. I mean... this film has been getting overwhelmingly negative reviews. Everyone has been just shitting on this movie, saying it's one of the worst things ever, saying that it's one of the worst things Netflix has ever done, and me being someone who tries to see everything, and I mean it when I say that. I try to see everything that I possibly can. I try to stream everything that I possibly can. I try to rent every movie that I possibly can. I had to see this movie. I felt obligated to see it. Even my friends were like, Kevin, what are you doing? Do not watch this movie. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. I'm like, bro, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna watch this movie. I'm probably gonna torture myself, but I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna give a review, and now here we are, and, with all those overwhelmingly negative reviews, yeah, this movie sucks. I mean, you knew this movie sucks. This is literally one of the worst things Netflix has ever made. Not just that, it's probably also one of the worst high school films I think I've ever seen, to be honest with you. We're just getting to right now, starting off with the plot of the movie, what plot? I mean, the plot takes like 50 minutes to really start, but there is a plot to this movie. It's really dumb. Basically, the plot to this movie is we center on this character, Elle. For all her life, she has been friends with this guy, Lou. They share the same birthday. I mean, these two are pretty much inseparable. Everything about them, they have this really great bond, and like I said, they've been friends since forever. However, there is one thing that might be getting in the way of that, and that is his older brother in the film. He does have an older brother, and his older brother's name is Noah, and basically, Noah, this character, is the more attractive older brother that you can tell that Elle does have a crush on. So when she and Lee decide to open up this kissing booth, things seem to be going okay. That is until Elle is blindfolded. She ends up kissing Lee, and basically throughout the rest of the movie, these two start to possibly develop a legit relationship. They're sneaking around, much to Noah's chagrin, and that's really all there is to say. I mean, there's really not much else to this movie. Really, there's nothing. That's literally the plot of this movie. Let's just get to the acting. Look, as most epic rants, this review is going to be pretty scattered, and that's mainly because this film honestly made me go pretty insane. It really did. I mean, I really couldn't believe what I was watching, but we're just getting into the cast, which the cast in this movie, they're atrocious, honestly. There's not a single good performance in this movie. There's not a single redeeming quality about this movie, but there's not a single good performance within this entire film. Joey King. Look, I've seen Joey King in some things before. I don't think she's a terrible actress. I really don't. I think she was good in Ramona and Beezus. I remember I saw her in that film. I thought she had a lot of potential as the Ramona character. I saw her in Fargo. She was really good in that. But based on what she's been doing, what the fuck are you doing with your career? Honestly, this is not the kind of stuff Joey King needs to be doing, because she is awful in this movie. Everything about Elle as a character is just atrocious. We'll get to that with the writing, but Joey King's delivery just feels so forced. The whole movie, it felt like she didn't really want to be there. Throughout some of the movie, I could tell she was trying to bring something to it, but not even that much. It just felt very standard. It felt very much like a Disney Channel movie, and it just seemed like Joey King really didn't want to be there. I just really was not feeling her role at all. She is awful in this movie. The character she's playing is literally one of the worst of the entire year, and we'll talk about her character in a little bit. Believe me, I got a lot to say about this fucking character, you betcha, but that's nothing compared to the two guys in the movie. The two guys in this film are just some of the worst actors I've seen in a very long time. Joe Courtney, everyone's been talking about him as, one of the worst performances of the year, as her best friend Lee, and yeah, he's terrible. Everything about him is terrible. You don't for a second believe that these two would actually be friends, especially in scenes where he's supposed to be dramatic. It comes off as just cringy and silly, and he just doesn't know how to emote. Everything about this character is just dumb. I really could not stand him. However, he's still not the worst performance. That's nothing compared to Jacob Elordi in this movie. Jesus Christ, Jacob Elordi. I mean, he has such a robotic type delivery. Everything he says, he seems to say in this tone, and he never really shifts away from this tone. Every single thing that happens, he says in this. There's one moment in this movie where he freaks out at Elle. One. And it comes out of nowhere, and even that, it's like in this delivery, and he's talking like this, and he just sounds like a fucking piece of machinery. He doesn't sound like a real person, and it's like, god damn it, dude, just emote. It was so forced. Everything about him, it just felt like I was watching a Terminator movie. It really did, honestly. I've heard people say that this was, like I said, like a robot, and it was just so robotic. It's like, is this Westworld or something? Like, this was just, I hated this. His delivery was just so bad. Him and Joey King have no chemistry whatsoever. You don't for a second believe that these two would date, and I mean, that plot in general is ridiculous, but he takes it up to a whole other fucking level of unbelievability, and it's just atrocious. Molly Ringwald is in this movie. I don't know why she's in this movie. I really don't. She's here because they needed some kind of star power to put in on the poster. She's not even in this movie that long. She's literally just here just to give Joey King a pep talk. There's one, like, memorable scene she has, and even that, she goes away before it's over. Like, she has nothing to do in this movie. Completely wasted. If you were looking for the return of Molly Ringwald, go watch fucking Riverdale, because she has more to do in that, and I thought she was wasted in that show. No, she has way more to do in that than she ever did in this movie. But either way, guys, acting's awful. Case in point, just atrocious. Everyone is atrocious here. That's nothing compared to the directing, though, because the directing in this movie is easily some of the worst I've seen, honestly. It's this directing is just, it's awful. I mean, the comedy especially really does not work here. All of the comedy in this film is the definition of cringe comedy. It's, oh, look at what's happening to this person. Look at what's happening here. Isn't this just so funny that something this ridiculous and wacky is happening? Isn't it just so funny that something this gross is happening? I mean, the directing, it's awful. The comedy completely falls flat on its face. There was not a single point in this movie where I giggled or chuckled. Well, actually there was, and that was in the more dramatic moments of the movie. The dramatic moments just come across as so over the top and almost like a soap opera. I mean, just the directing, it's awful. It's some of the worst I've seen all year, easily. The comedy's so forced, but that is nothing, and I mean nothing, compared to the writing in this movie. Where the fuck do I even begin with this writing? Because this is just, it's such a mess. Right off the bat, these characters in general, like I said, I told you the general plot, and the reason why that's the only thing I can say is that that is literally the only thing we know about these characters. What do we know about Elle in the beginning of the movie? Well, she's narrating the film, she was born on the same day as Lee, and her mom died when she was really young. And for some reason, she is, has this crush on Noah. And that's it. There's nothing else with this character. Literally nothing else. So please explain to me why we spend the majority of the film with her just parading around, most times half naked, most times doing some really awful and just really ridiculous things, and for some reason they want us to sympathize with her. They want us to root for this character. But if anything, I was actively rooting against her for the majority of this movie. I mean, this character, to say that she's demanding is an understatement. Every single thing that someone asks of her, she questions them. There's a scene in this movie where she spills paint on her shirt, and one of the many scenes where they try to over-sexualize Joey King. Believe me, we're going to get to that, because that is a huge thing in this movie, and I really don't understand why. They try to over-sexualize her. She goes into the boys' bathroom, and, you know, I don't know why she couldn't just go to the fucking girls' room. Why'd you have to go to the boys' bathroom? I have no idea. I guess it was just the nearest thing. Maybe she just wasn't thinking. I really don't know why she had to go to the boys' bathroom, but either way she goes there, like I said, she's half naked, and, you know, naturally, Noah, he goes up to her and tells her, hey, you should probably put on a shirt. For some reason, she gets all pissed at him and says, no, I'll do what I want. Literally starts dancing in front of all these guys. So she's literally selling herself. Yes, this is a girl who is literally the definition of a thought. I mean, half of the movie is just her trying to get laid. That's really all she does in this movie. There's a scene where she gets drunk at a party and she starts stripping, and there's something, for some reason, we're supposed to find something endearing about this character, and it's like, no, especially in the age we are right now, with like the rise of the Me Too movement and things like that. This is a horrible role model. I mean, this is not at all someone that you should emulate. Everything about this character is the epitome of what high school girls shouldn't be, and for some reason they're trying to get you to root for her, and I just really don't get it. Everything about her, I really couldn't stand. I don't for a second understand why she would fall for Noah. It really doesn't make much sense to me. Yes, I can understand there's been instances where you might have a crush, but to make it an actual romance is just really ridiculous, and I really couldn't stand that. Okay, so she's awful. Like I said, she's an awful character. There's nothing to like about her. Most of the movie is either her yelling at one of the guys or demanding to get fucked. That's literally all she does in this movie. She also has some really awful narration that doesn't make any sense. Okay, so she's awful. But maybe the other two guys are redeemable. Maybe the other two guys have something about them that you can maybe latch onto. But no, there's nothing. There's nothing to latch onto with these two. You can't root for Noah because of the fact that he is so actively against what is going on with Elle. Like, when he realizes what's going on, which I mean, you guys know. You know he's gonna find out. It's so predictable that Noah's eventually going to find out, that, you know, Lee is eventually going to find out what's going on between him and between, you know, Elle and Noah. If I keep mixing up the names, because I just don't care. I really don't care about these characters. So I'm sorry if I keep mixing up the names. I just really don't care at this point. But Lee, you can't root for him because he's not supportive. The whole movie, there's this stupid list that the two of them have compiled when they were younger, and it's all these things that you as a best friend can't do. And in the beginning of the movie, we realize that these characters are going their separate ways. They're going to be going off to college, and for some reason, they're still so fixated on something as trivial as a stupid fucking list that they made when they were little kids. And for some reason, he's so attached to this list, and it's so important to him that he just can't fathom the idea of her going after his older brother. He can't understand why she'd do that. Oh, I should also mention there's this random girlfriend that he has in the movie that we, like, never see again. She's shown like 3 times and he barely brings her up. It's almost as if she doesn't exist. It's really weird. But like I said, this is literally the main reason why he's so pissed, is because this list they made, and it's like, grow the fuck up already. You're gonna be going your separate ways. Why do you care so much about this list? It's so dumb, and the movie harkens back to it so much. It's like, I don't care what the rules are. I really don't. I don't know why you care so much. This is something you made when you were a little kid. Just move on. It's so trivial, and it's not a good reason. No, like, I can understand if it turned out that he had feelings for her or something, but no. It's literally because of the list. That's the whole reason why he's pissed at her, and it's ridiculous. But at the same time, you can't root for Noah because he's an asshole. He's not nice to his brother. He's really not that nice to Elle. There's a whole scene in the movie where he gets pissed at her because of the fact that she's flirting with another guy when these two are trying to sneak around and trying to hide the fact that they're in a relationship, and for some reason, he's all pissed at her for this, and I just really did not understand why. I don't know why he's so upset with her for what she did, so you can't root for him either because of that. Just, there isn't a single rootable character in this movie. There's also these characters called the OMG girls, and these characters are just basically, you know, just look at Mean Girls and Heathers. Take out all of the likability of them, you got the OMG girls. Just that name to say in general is so cringy, it's absolutely ridiculous, and like I said, just the directions this movie takes, it makes no sense whatsoever. There are so many things that feel so unrealistic. This is the perfect example of someone who is probably much older than the demographic they're writing for, and what I mean is that they really don't get high school. They really don't understand high school at all. They seem to think that every single relationship that you're in, you can't have a friendship between a boy and a girl, and that is one of the dumbest myths ever, honestly. There's no reason why you can't be in a friendship with girls. Hell, there are a lot of friends that I have that are girls, and it's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that, and the movie acts as if there is. The movie acts as if, you know, oh, you can't be in a friendship, you know, a boy and a girl in a friendship, just automatically people are gonna think they're dating. It's absolutely ridiculous. I hated this movie's logic. Like I said, there's so many instances where she's like half naked, and nothing about it just feels realistic. There's no realism in this movie. There's nothing you can take seriously, and it's so dumb. I hated everything when it comes to the writing. I thought it was just awful. Also, I should mention the dialogue in this movie is atrocious. I mean, it might not be the worst movie I've seen this year. It is by far the worst screenplay I have heard uttered this year. I mean, there is not a single good line of dialogue in this movie. Not a single one. I literally jotted down some lines in this movie just so you guys know the level of cringe and the level of awful line delivery we're dealing with here. For example, when Lee starts to get suspicious about Elle and Noah's relationship, you know, basically, they're like fooling around in his bed or whatever, which is such a smart idea. You know, you're trying to sneak around. Why not just, you know, smash at his house? That's a great idea to do. He walks in, and Lee's line about all this is, he literally says to her, "I heard moaning." I'm not kidding. That is a line of dialogue that he says. Or this one, when he realizes that she and Noah did kiss, Lee's delivery is, "Don't end up grinding coochies with my brother or I'll never talk to you again." Or, and this is my favorite line in the movie, easily. I mean, this is one of the most quotable lines ever. By one of the most quotable lines, I mean, it's one of those things I'm going to be scoffing at and just snickering about for a very long time. There's so many instances in this movie where guys are just ogling her, and they're talking about her boobs, and they seem to be so into her because of her chest or whatever, and there's literally a line where someone goes up to her, I believe it's Noah, and he says, "Your boobs are worth a broken nose." Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we're really dealing with here, people. I really wish I was making this up, but I'm not. These are actual lines taken from the movie, and this isn't verbatim. Like, I literally wrote down what they said, and I can't believe that these lines were actually uttered. I really can't believe that this actually got approved. It's the lowest of the low, and I hated everything about the dialogue here. Also, I'll just throw this last one in there because it's honestly hilarious once again that this is a line. There's a scene in this movie where they go to this party and she's getting drunk. It's that same scene where I said where she ends up stripping for no reason. She takes a drink and her response is one of the most peculiar things I've heard someone say when drinking some kind of alcoholic substance. I've heard some people say, "Oh, this tastes really good," or "Oh, I'm feeling really buzzed." Never once have I heard someone say what she says here. She literally takes a drink and she says, "It tastes like green." don't ask me what she means. Really, don't ask me. Like, what are you trying to say? What is green? Green vegetables, green juice. Like, what tastes like green? That is not there. There is no tasting of green. I don't know what she's really talking about here. And again, it's just mind-boggling. It's one of the many mind-boggling things about this movie that I really struggle to wrap my head around. The cinematography as well in this movie is some of the weirdest, and I think some of the perviest I've seen in a very long time. People always talk about Michael Bay and his obsession with girls and how he, you know, objectifies them and over-sexualizes them. I don't think that's anything compared to the amount of over-sexualizing of Joey King in this movie. In almost every scene in this film, she is wearing very tight clothes with, you know, a tank top that exposes her chest very well, or a, you know, skirt that might expose her ass and things like that, or there'll be a line, like I said, where they are, you know, ogling her, or there's a scene where she's, like, stripping. I mean, there are so many instances where they're trying to get us to, like, fawn over Joey King, and I really don't get it. Like, why are you so focused on over-sexualizing this character? To me, it felt like they were so focused on that they completely forgot that you have to make a character likable in order for us to, you know, care about them and to root for them in the situation, but that's really all they do for her. They seem to think that just because they have somewhat attractive actors, which Joey King isn't really even that attractive in my opinion, but again, that's not for really me to say. I shouldn't have to judge a movie based on someone's looks because that's stupid. I should have to base a movie based on talent and based on character. Two things this movie clearly does not give a shit about, so I'm not going to either. It's that simple. This movie does not care about those things, and it really pissed me off. There are so many awful shots in this film. There's horrible green screen in this movie. I mean, just the cinematography, it's ridiculous, and it just doesn't make any sense. And like I said, most of the film, she's like half naked. Although in the third act of the movie, suddenly that stops becoming a thing, and I legitimately think that they fired the guy who was doing the cinematography for the first two acts and brought someone else on just because they were so grossed out by what was really happening, just because they were so, they just didn't want to do it anymore. They realized that they needed to do something with the character, make her somewhat wholesome, and I don't even know what to say. I really don't. It was just awful. I hated everything about the cinematography. The scores, whatever, I really don't care about. And the editing to this movie. Jesus Christ, the editing to this movie. Look, the movie's very slow-paced in the first act. And that's fine. I've said it before. I don't care if a movie's slow-paced. I don't care if it's fast-paced. I really don't. If it works for your movie, it works for your movie. But with a film that is so devoid of character development and so devoid of really anything happening, you really had to wait this long for the plot to happen. It takes almost an hour for us to get to the actual plot of this movie, and by then you just simply don't care anymore. You're just kind of going through the motions at that point. Not barely going through the motions, barely holding on. And when they get to the actual plot, things just get so much dumber, and the movie really doesn't get better from then on. The movie, honestly, it stops being a comedy in like the third act, and it's really weird, honestly. I really don't understand the tonal shifts in this movie. The editing is all over the place. It's so horribly paced. The first, like, 5 minutes of this movie, they, like, speed through this montage about her life of pointless shit that doesn't matter. It's just awful. Everything about this movie is just atrocious. The Kissing Booth is just a terrible movie. I think I've gotten that point across. This is literally one of the worst things that Netflix has ever done. They have stooped to a level that I really didn't think they were capable of at this point. It has some of the most brainless, one-note characters I have seen in such a long time. It has tons of archetypes. It just doesn't understand high school at all. There's no likable characters. There's no likable story. There's really nothing redeemable about this movie. I really tried hard to find some kind of positive, and I really couldn't. For a while, I thought, okay, maybe Joey King is okay, but no. Her line delivery was terrible. Things that she said, it was not a good performance. Scenes where the two characters are fighting, and she'll be like, no, no! Like, how can I take that seriously? I really can't. There's really nothing good about this movie. I really hated everything about it. It reminds me why I despise Netflix as much as I truly do. Because, look, I've said it before, I don't hate Netflix. In instances like this, I really do. Like, why did you pick this up? There was no reason for you to pick up this movie. This movie could have easily been abandoned. It's everything that I hate about high school comedies. It's one of the worst I have seen in a very long time, and I am absolutely going to give The Kissing Booth overall a big, fat, fucking F.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Seriously, guys, don't see this movie. Anything, just don't see it. Even if you're like me and you were curious, don't see it. Seriously, there are so many other things you need to see right now. Like I said, this is a good year for comedies, and I think it makes sense now. All the shitty comedies are going to Netflix. That's what's happening. All the terrible comedies are going directly to Netflix. That is why this year sucks. That is why this year does not suck as much for comedies, because they're all going to Netflix, and it's really pissing me off. You know, I just saw a really great Netflix film, Alex Strangelove. I already reviewed that one. That is a good high school film. That is how you do high school. This is not. I don't know what this is. This is over-sexualizing. It's over-glamorized. It's just, everything about it is just ridiculous and just definitely not worth your time at all. But either way, guys, that's it for this rant. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't see this movie. See a bunch of other Netflix films that I reviewed. There's tons of other stuff they've done that I'd recommend. I'm sorry this review is all over the place, but this movie kind of broke me. It really did. I really can't believe that this movie actually exists, but that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which I promise for you will be better than any of what I just talked about, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.